Today we're going to look at converting decimals to fractions. Now there are a couple of things that we need to keep in mind when we are converting decimals to fractions. Number one is we need to remember what place value is and how to read decimals using a proper place value. Remember, we don't really want to think of it as 0 point something because our ears are the next important thing. When we say the place value, it actually gives us a really, really big clue on how we're going to write our decimal in fraction form. So as a reminder, place value is a digit's place in a number. So like if we look at this example, we have on the left side of our decimal, our whole number side of a decimal, we have ones and then tens. And then on the right hand side of my decimal, which is the decimal side of my number, we have tenths, hundredths, it would go to thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, so on, so on, so on. So as just an example for this, we would look and say, hey, I have one in my tens place, so that really is a 10. I have 3 in my ones place, so that's a 3. I have 5 in my tenths place, so that's 5 tenths, and I have 4 in my hundredths place, and that's 4 hundredths. But if we put all that together, if we actually go through and put it all together, that number is 13 54 hundredths. Now, using that place value, we can really figure out what we've got to do to convert from decimal to fraction. If the number you are working with is a number that is just tenths, you're going to drop your decimal, you're going to drop your 0, and you're going to add a fraction bar and put 10 in the denominator. So as an example, if we had 3 tenths, I'm going to drop my decimal, drop my 0, and add a fraction bar and put 10. And that's still 3 tenths, it's just written in a different form. If we have hundredths, instead of putting a 10 in the denominator, we put a 100 in the denominator. So as an example, if we have 47 hundredths, we drop our 0, we drop our decimal, we add a fraction bar, and we put 100 in the denominator, and we still get 47 hundredths. It's just in fraction form. Now, one last thing to keep in mind is that it is good practice that we need to simplify our fraction into lowest terms. When we deal with percents later, that's not always going to be the best option for us, but it is generally a good practice. So as an example, if we have 5 tenths, we would turn this into fraction form of 5 tenths. We drop our 0, drop our decimal, put a 10 in the denominator because it is tenths. But we have to look, can we divide, can we factor? And in this case, we can divide both the top and the bottom by 5, which gives us a simplified fraction of 1/2. Hopefully this is helpful to you. Again, knowing place value and using your ears are going to be the best thing that you can do to figure out what you're going to do to turn any decimal number into a fraction.